All right, people, I'm Johnny Scoville, and this is Chase the Heat. This is a continuation where we're talking about the effects of peppers. We talked about cap cramps and how to do what you can to minimize them. Okay, what to do when it happens, how not to panic, and you're going to live through it. And we talked about that. There's a few other things that we failed to speak of. It's delicate stuff. It's funny when you do it all the time, when you just eat peppers all the time, you experience things and you kind of just begin to, I've been doing this for a really long time. So things that happen to me, I kind of see them as normal. And for somebody who consumes hot stuff like I do, it is normal, but to those who don't, it may not be. There was a time when the things that I'm going to talk about today were not normal to me, and they came as quite a shock. But over time, I've become something that's become very regular. But because it's new for a lot of folks, or a lot of people are just at the stage where I was then, we're going to talk about it because nobody was talking about these things when they were occurring with me. You saw the thumbnail. Fire hose is what they call it in gentlemen, and they call it fire lily with women. And what it is very simply, when you have a great deal of capsaicin in your body, it has to come out. It's as simple as that. If you have a very little bit, you can pass it, just like you would pass food or liquid. You're not going to notice it. But when you increase the capsaicin levels and it gets higher and higher, going to the bathroom the next day, number 2, can be a painful thing. But we haven't talked about fire hose. Fire hose is exactly what it sounds like. What it is, quite simply, is you have a very high level of capsaicin in your body, and it needs to exit your body. So as you urinate, it burns. It just burns. And if you haven't had it happen to you yet because of peppers, then you're going to be, it's going to sound kind of foreign to you. There are some people who some people who have had it may not even realize it happened once, and they didn't even put a connection to it. And this video might jog some, that's what that was. But it's a thing. Now, I remember most people that have had it will remember the first time they had it, because it's a unique experience. I remember the first time it happened to me. I had been to Chunky's in San Antonio, where they make the Four Horsemen, it's billed as the hottest hamburger. This is early on. This is before I started the channel. I had failed trying to eat that. And that evening, I experienced fire hose for the first time. I was married, and I remember thinking, because there are reasons, there are other reasons that it may burn to pee when you pee. And those are two very different things, okay? Chili, and then the other reason, usually an STD or something. And I was married, and I was not the fooling around type of guy. So I remember thinking, what in the world? And then it clicked. I was like, you ate the Four Horsemen. So we're going to talk just a little bit about fire hose. If it's the first time it ever happens to you, it'll come on, it'll catch you by surprise. Once it happens to you frequently, you'll know it's going to happen. You can feel it kind of burning before you even go. At least with me, I'm telling you what I experienced. I got some pods in the mail yesterday from Andrew Brown. Now, I want to show you these. I have 6 of these. 7-pot. These are 7-pot chocolate doula. Okay? I have 6 of these. If I ate all 6 of these right now, the next time I went to the bathroom, it would burn. So, capsaicin in general is going to create fire hose. Now, it can happen with peppers, but you got to eat a lot of them, or a lot more than you normally eat. I'm not sure. If you're somebody who's only eaten jalapenos, if you were to eat a 7-pot Primo or a Primatali or a Warthog, that might be enough to give you fire hose. I will tell you this. Extract is the fire hose you get from extract is worse, and I think it happens more commonly with extract. For instance, the first year of the channel, I did the toe of Satan. Now, if you haven't seen that, it's a cinnamon lollipop, and I don't like artificial cinnamon, but it's made with 6 million Scoville, I think 6 million, maybe it's 9. Maybe it's 9 million Scoville extract is in it. So it's very, very hot just consuming it. I went more than the 5 minutes. I went for a very long time and almost finished the entire thing. The fire hose from extract is worse. It can be really painful. Not just an irritation, not just like, wow, it's burning, but like it's burning a lot. And it's a thing. Now they call it fire hose with men, and as I've mentioned, they call it fire lily with women, but no one's immune to it. If you eat high levels of capsaicin, especially with extract, it's going to be something that can happen. We're going to talk about one more thing because it's in the same sort of subject matter. It's called hot tears. Okay. It can be when what happens is you have, again, same sort of thing. You have a lot of high levels of capsaicin in your body, and it needs to come out somehow. And it can have, a lot of times you won't notice it if your eyes don't water or if you aren't crying. But sometimes if you are, listen, you know what we're doing here? We're talking about the ugly part of what we do. All right. Sometimes if you're in a contest or if you've done way too much capsaicin and you know that the burn, like the cramps are going to be really bad, a lot of times people will try to bring up what they've eaten, be it peppers or extract or whatever. They try to vomit it up so that you don't have to digest it, which is going to be more painful. Sometimes in the vomiting of that, your eyes will water and your eyes will burn. A lot of times that's when people first feel hot tears, is when they're vomiting something hot that they've eaten. And your eyes will burn, and then you think like, what in the world? And people, I've had it in videos where my eyes start watering, and they'll start burning, and people will say, well, they'll leave a comment saying, "Oh, you touched your eyes." It had nothing to do with me touching my eyes. It wasn't something exterior that touched my eye. It was something inside coming out. In fact, if you take in those moments when that's happening, if I just get rid of the tears and get rid of them, my eyes are fine. When I tear more, it's in the tears, and so, and listen, when my dad died, he died a little over 3 years ago. I remember, like, every time I listen, it was a devastating thing. It's the hardest thing I ever went through, and I remember crying and just having my tears burn. So it's a thing, Sometimes, when you're younger, you cry more often, I think. As an adult, you tend not to cry as frequently. You don't need to cry for hot tears to present themselves. Like I said, most times you'll experience it when you're throwing up and your eyes water. And I promise you, people are going to be watching this and they'll say, that happened to me. I was throwing up. I did a bunch of the hottest gummy bears, and I was throwing them up, and my eyes watered and it burned. That's what was happening. That's hot tears. We're just trying to cover all of the things that can happen to you as a chili head. Have you ever had the experience where you've eaten an Italian meal? Either you made it yourself or somebody else made it, and there was a lot of garlic, and there was so much garlic in it, in fact, that the next day you could kind of smell the garlic coming through your skin. Have you ever had that? Let's see a show of hands. There you go. Same sort of thing happens with capsaicin. Okay, there have been maybe a dozen times, maybe a couple dozen times since I started the channel, where the following day I can smell capsaicin coming through my skin. like it's seeping through your skin. One of them was the second video I ever made for this channel. I was at my friend Vince's house. I've talked about this a bunch of times. It was the worst, one of the worst. Listen, it was the first time I ever did a big challenge on an empty stomach. I won't do that again. I ate, I don't know if it was 5 or 7 reapers and a couple scorpions or some weird combination. 5 and 2 or 5 and 7. I can't remember. I can go back and watch the video and I can learn. But at any rate, I didn't eat it. I didn't prep. It was an empty stomach. And that night I had one of the worst nights all night, just the entire night, cramping, wave after wave after wave after wave. I thought I was dying. But the following day, I could smell, if you smelled my arm, I could smell capsaicin, peppers. I could smell, it was peppers that I was smelling. And the reason I give you the distinction, each time I've done the plutonium-9, on 3 different occasions, I drank an entire bottle of plutonium-9, 9 million Scoville extract. And it's the kind of thing where if I gave you a bottle of it and you're a chili head and you use it regularly, it might last you 5 or 6 years or 8 to 10 years. It's going to last you a really, really long time because it takes 1 drop will heat a pot of chili easily. I mean, it's that hot. It's that noticeable. So to drink an entire vial is, first of all, don't do it. All right? I wouldn't suggest anybody do it. It's a bad idea. However, as bad as that sounds, I've done it 3 times. Each time, the following day, if I smelled my arm, I could smell extract. I wasn't just smelling capsaicin. I was smelling plutonium. The second in particular, I smelled, like if you walked into my room the following day, the whole room, my bedroom smelled like extract, like plutonium extract. So it'll come through your skin. It'll during right now is it's peak pod season. If I have an eyelash, a real bummer for me is getting an eyelash in my eye because I have to use a cotton swab, a Q-tip to get it out. I'll look to find out where it is and try to get it with a Q-tip because if I have my finger and I do it like this, my finger is going to burn my eye. Even if I just wash my hands with soap and water, dry them, and immediately go to try to get a hair out, it'll burn my eye because it's not something that's on the skin surface. It's something that's seeping through my skin, through my fingertips. So there's some ugly aspects of doing what we do. One of them is cramps. One of them is fire hose, hot tears, and literally smelling like capsaicin. It is what it is. That's why it's great when you have someone like Shahina Wasim, because she adds a beauty to this ugly sport. She's the only person I've ever seen that goes to a contest in an evening gown, like she's gonna be walking the red carpet. It's a rough thing that we do. It's not for everybody. You know what I mean? There are elements of being a chili head that aren't. It's a weird thing. It's something that it's in you or something that's not. And anyway, regardless, here's the bottom line: is we're talking about the real things, the things that happen with chilies that they don't talk about when the kids are around. That sort of a thing. So if you've experienced, here's what I'd like you to do. If you've experienced any of the things I've talked about in today's video, fire hose or fire lily, let us know your first experience, and maybe I'll read something because everybody will remember the first time that's happened to you. Pretty sure you will. If it's happened to you, you remember it. You remember what caused it. You may have had it happen, and you maybe didn't know what caused it. Now this might connect the dots for you. The other thing is hot tears. If you've experienced hot tears, put a comment in there as well. Let me know, and we'll do another video on this perhaps. And even having the experience of having it seep through your skin where you can smell it. If that's happened to you, let me know. But these are some, we're going to continue with this. I'm sure there are some little things that I'm probably overlooking. There are a few just occurred to me right now, but it's something that I think I'll let naturally unfold. But listen, the bottom line is this: be very careful with chilies. I mean, they're a lot of fun. You know, they bring people together. They're healthy. They're good for you. We've learned they lower stomach acidity. So you have not had an ulcer that was created by peppers. Peppers lowers the stomach acidity. In fact, in the most recent video, there were several examples and comments where people have had stomach problems, IBS and ulcers, and now they're eating peppers and they don't anymore. So it does literally the opposite of what so many people think. So part of what this series is dispelling the myths. You know, they don't cause ulcers, there's no heat in seeds, that sort of thing. So if you have anything else that you want to add or you want me to talk about, or if there's a different part of, if there's something I've missed, let us know. But this is the next installment of This Can Happen to You, as far as being a chilihead. But thank you guys for watching. Leave your comments about anything else you want me to address, and we will continue on with this series. And we'll discuss more. Let me know. You'll see all the normal stuff at the end. On the bottom, you'll see the lifeboat and my son, Johnny Scoville Jr. Up on top, you're going to see pepperology, which is it's just a series. This will be in pepperology. New stuff to learn for new chili heads. If you're brand new at the game, you'll want to dive into the pepperology and look at all those videos. There's a lot of important information, terminology, and how to avoid having some of these things that I'm talking about now happen to you. And then another one will be the 26 hardest challenges I've had, and every one of those involves stomach cramps and fire hose. And seepage, probably, where the capsaicin is coming through your skin. But I thank you guys for watching. I love you guys a lot. I am Johnny Scoville, and this was Chase the Heat.